This video is for the smart drive battery problem that people may be having. This particular one is older. It actually says max mobility on it. They have been bought by Permobil. I have another unit that I'm going to show you that has the Permobil name on it. They're pretty much the same thing. This person had one, this one here, and they haven't used it. You can see it's still new. They let it sit without charging, and we need to replace the battery. So one thing to let you guys know is about the charger itself. When you plug in the charger to the wall, that light's going to turn green, and it's going to stay green. If you plug it into a smart drive and that doesn't change to red, that means obviously the battery's dead or there's no connection there. So for the teardown, for the battery replacement and for the circuit board, it's pretty much the same. You get to the same part. So for the teardown, you're going to need a 3mm wrench, and you're going to need Torx drivers. You're going to need a T10 and a T20 Torx drivers, a meter. Make sure you know how to set it to DC volts. We're actually going to set this to the 200 rating. This is a 36 volt unit, and voltages on this will actually go up to around 40, but probably no more than that. So make sure you set your meter to the right level so you don't get a bad reading. To check that, I'm going to turn this meter on. On mine it's 200 for the limit. Get your leads and put them on the large terminals here, and you could see, I hope you could see, I'm getting 0.2, 0.3 volts off of that, which means this one obviously has been sitting without being charged, which is why we need to replace the battery. When you plug in the charger, that's never going to turn red because this battery is so far gone that this charger doesn't see it. Just some info on the charger itself. This charger looks for a particular window for it to turn on and charge the smart drive. The lowest voltage that this charger will see to turn on and charge this unit is about 15 volts. So anything from 0 to just under 15 or around 15, this may not turn on. It's not going to turn on. Okay, 15 volts and above, this will turn on. It'll turn red. It'll take about 5 hours to charge, maybe 6, depending on how much you depleted the battery. And when it's done charging, it'll turn green again. Once it's fully charged, well, just unplug this and you're good to go. On this other unit, this one actually does say Permobil because it's a newer unit. It's still a smart drive. This one here is also fairly new. This guy hasn't used it very long because there's actually a circuit board issue on this one. But again, just to show you guys, this one has a good battery. So when I check the voltage, it's giving me a bad voltage. How about that? It's giving me like 2 volts. That's crazy. Why is it doing that? Circuit board issue. That's why. So let me just show you on this one what the circuit board issue is. Right now it's turned on. The circuit board is doing something nutty, doesn't know what's going on. It does turn the unit on. But when you have your smartwatch or your push tracker, the older version, you go over to the smart drive app here, get that on there. You're going to go ahead and activate your power assist. Right now everything looks good. I got the 3 blue circles here. It's active, it's ready to go. When I put this at the correct angle, and I'm going to give this 2 taps or 2 waves, and this should start to run. But you'll see as soon as I do that, that power light's just going to go out. So I got a little spurt on the motor, power's dead. It's telling me there's something wrong. It's flashing red. That's because there's a circuit board issue inside this unit. The only way you're going to get this to power back on is to plug in your charger. That gets it to turn back on. But the issue really is the circuit board. So if you have this happening, you're going to need to change the circuit board. If you have no power turning on your unit, you're going to need the battery, obviously. Possibly anything else like a circuit board might be at play, but you won't know until you get a battery in a unit like that. Turn that off, and you can see it was red for a moment. You can rewind the video and see that, but it was red, it was charging. Now we're back on green. Turn off the meter. So to tear down, you're going to need the 3mm wrench. Flip this over. There's 2 here, 2 in the middle, 2 on the end. I went ahead and loosened these up a little bit, so that's why it's not so many turns on the wrench. Since I'm filming this, it's hard to see, but hey, bear with me. So once you get all those loose, this cover will come right off. As long as you loosen these all up. Looks like I missed a couple. There we go. Cover comes off. So in here is the business. You have your circuit board, battery, and all your connectors. The best thing to do is to use your phone or a camera or something. Take a picture of this just so you see how the wires are routed, where the connectors go, what connectors go where. Most of these are foolproof, meaning you can't plug one in to another place because either the wire is too short or the shape is different. The only ones that I can see that you can mix up are these 2 right here. So just know that the one that's closest to these wires up here is for the power. This one here is for a switch. So what you're going to want to do is first off unplug these power wires here that are actually to the battery. There's 3. There's this one, positive and negative, obviously. There's this one here, And then there's a small one right here. That completely disconnects the battery. Then what you're going to want to do is unplug these here. Actually, you're going to have to unplug all of these because you want to pull the whole unit out. It's all got to come out anyways, which is why you should take a picture of it so you have a visual reference where everything goes. This one you don't need to because this is hooked up to the horn, and the horn comes off with the battery case. So here's where you get your T20. There's 4 screws here, 1 on each corner. These screws have little rubber grommets on the opposite side, so when you pull the battery out, the screws shouldn't go flying everywhere, but do keep an eye on it because they do sometimes work themselves loose. So just be mindful if they go somewhere, you can see where they go. Once you have those 4 screws undone, this battery should come right out. Forgot a connector. There we go. If you're gonna do switch replacement, this is the switch here, and you would obviously replace the switch that they send you, and you're gonna want to go ahead and put some sealant there, RTV sealant or some kind of sealant there that's gonna keep water from getting in and actually hold this in place better. As of recently, Permobil just gave us the okay, not all shops, but the ones that they feel are competent, and they let us do the battery and the circuit board replacement. They are comfortable enough with us to do that. I'm not sure if it's all vendors, but for us, we're able to do it. The rollers, just about anybody could do the roller kit. Those are pretty easy, and you don't even have to tear it down to do the roller kit. You could replace these just by unscrewing the screws, and you don't have to take it all apart like this. So that's a lot easier. For the circuit board replacement, you would go ahead and take your T10. You're going to want to obviously disconnect your horn, which is right here. Your T10. Unscrew your horn. Pay attention to where those screws go. And these little rubber grommets, you see this one's already come off of here, so make sure you keep an eye on those. There's 2 screws for the circuit board, one right here. Again, this is a T10, one here. And that screw took off on me. Take this bad boy off, put it somewhere safe so you don't short it out if you don't have to replace it. If you're replacing it, whatever. The battery you get is going to be a lithium-ion battery. It's going to come in a special box that's a little tougher. Replacement batteries come in the plastic case already, so you don't need to worry about cracking the case in half and replacing this. It just comes ready to go like this. So you just reverse the process. I'm going to go ahead and put my circuit board back on. It's the one with the little pins, 2 screw holes. The horn goes on the other side where there's only 2 screw holes. I'm not going to connect any of these until I get that in there. Horn's going to go on this side. This wire goes over the battery. Connect that to where the horn goes on the connector here. Pay attention to the polarity. Okay, this connector is keyed in a way where you can only plug it in one way. There's a special shape to it and a little barb. You're going to want to pay attention to how you plug that in polarity wise, which is why your picture that you took will help you. From the old battery, I need to take off all these screws. So you have 4 screws, 4 rubber grommets. So those rubber grommets, they keep the screw from falling out of place when you reassemble. So make sure that those are on the bottom of the unit. Battery goes back into the case. You don't want to tighten these so much that you're going to strip the brass plugs from the plastic. So just get them to where you can feel that they're giving you some resistance. Okay, now the wires. These are also keyed, so you can't flip them and plug them in incorrectly. This black one here with the black wires, I found that this was the one that you should put in first, only because this tends to be really short. They don't really give you so much wire for this, so it's easier just to get it in place here before you do the rest. All these here, kind of get them right by that circuit board. Main power here. I had left the switch on, which is why it turned on. Make sure you turn that switch off. When you're working with it, I didn't pay attention to that. So obviously saw that it turned on. Everything's hooked up correctly. The last thing you're going to want to do before you close this up is, number one, make sure your wires are out of place. I mean, not in the way of anything. Yeah, so make sure they're not out of place. And this actually has a little rubber seal around here. Make sure that the rubber seal is where it's supposed to be. Common problem is to have it jump out of place right here where this wire comes into the unit. So make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Get your cover. Get it to fit correctly before you start screwing everything in, to make sure you don't have to adjust your wiring. 3mm. Next project is making a jig to hold this. Same thing here, don't tighten the heck out of these. You don't want to strip the brass insert that is inside this top cover. So make sure you tighten up all 6 of these. I can't do these because I got to look for the screws. And I do want to show you guys what is actually inside the battery pack, because I was curious, and I'm sure you're curious about that. So these top two I'm gonna do later off camera after the video is done. But you could see good to go. So if you have a battery replacement, make sure it turns on after you get it all closed up. Same thing with the circuit board replacement. Check it all before you stick it back together so you don't have to crack it open again if you forgot to connect something or misconnected something. And if you did misconnect something, I hope you didn't let out the factory smoke. Battery. I was curious to see if it was a 3-cell LiPo type battery, but since it's a lithium-ion, I already took this one apart, so I'm just showing you how it comes apart. These plastic cases come off, and this is a plastic cover, shrink wrap cover, and then where did I cut that? Here we go. I cut it right here. There's the batteries. "36-volt system." You can see here, this is a little thermal sensor. If it overheats, it'll send a signal that the battery pack is overheating or shut it down. But you see the batteries here, 3, 6, 9, 12 batteries. So I believe these are 3 volts each, or around 3.7, something like that. So basically you have like an addition of 36 volts. I'm gonna tear this down even more. Right here, it gives you the voltage there. It says 3.2 volts. And if you want to pause the video, you could actually get the spec off the battery. 3,300 milliamp hour, and the voltage 3.2 volts. Looks almost like a 21700 battery that's in the Milwaukee batteries, the newer Milwaukee batteries that are running those cells. I do have a Phoenix PD36R. This one runs a battery that's a 21700. This is 500 milliamp hour, safety protected. In this section here, there's a safety cap, so the battery is a 21700. You can see it's close, but not quite the same battery. So just out of curiosity's sake, that's what the battery pack looks like. Do not try to replace cells. You probably won't match them correctly, and that's just a whole lot of soldering to screw up. And I would want something like that to catch in fire and cause some damage and possibly hurt somebody. But yeah, that's what the battery looks like. All right, that's it. Done. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your comments. I don't make very many videos. I think I have like maybe 3 right now, but I didn't see any on YouTube about this battery replacement. So hope you guys like it.